destroyed my home, wrought unfathomable suffering on my compatriots, yet here I stand before you.
Welcome back to the PST channel. Today we will explore all of Genshin Impact's mysterious lore, the Abyss Order, and the fallen nation, Khaenri'ah. Along the traveler's journey, we encounter the character named Dainsleif multiple times. He himself is a mysterious man and also an important key to all these mysteries. Every time we see him, we learn new things about the Abyss Order and the Khaenri'ah. Let's recap everything we know from him with today's story, Dainsleif, the former knight captain of the Royal Guard of Khaenri'ah. At the Mondstadt Adventurers Guild, Catherine informs the traveler about a mysterious man with blonde hair and an eye patch who has recently arrived. Despite the guild's invitation, the man declined to meet them, so Catherine suggests the traveler reach out to him instead. After asking around the city, the traveler and Paimon locate the man on the second floor of Angel's Share.
Wow, he's got no intention of paying us any mind, huh?
A traveler, you say? Why are you traveling?
Upon learning that the traveler is searching Teyvat for their sibling, the man, introducing himself as Dainsleif, agrees to take on a commission for 500 mora and the answers to 3 questions. The first question is who is responsible for the Storm Terror crisis, Venti, the traveler, or the people of Mondstadt. The second question is who is now tasked with defending Liyue, the Adepti, the Qixing, or everyone. And the last question is whether those with visions, those without, or neither are deemed more important by the gods. Depending on the traveler's responses, Dainsleif reflects on their similarities to an old traveling companion of his.
I'll take that 500 mora. And now I also understand your views on this world. As we agreed, you may now commission me. That said, I only take commissions related to the Abyss Order. Like you, I am currently on a journey. You intend to find your sibling, while I wish to oppose the Abyss.
Dainsleif reveals that he is hunting an Abyss Herald, a high-ranking agent of the Abyss Order who may be deliberately avoiding the traveler. He believes the Herald's orders have kept it from engaging with them so far. After investigating the Abyss Order's activity near the Temple of the Falcon, the trio tracks down the Herald, only to discover it has already left. Dainsleif speculates that the Herald may be targeting Boreas in Wolvendom, given the Abyss Order's previous attempts to manipulate Valen. In Wolvendom, Dainsleif observes the Abyss Order's bonfires, which power their magic. After a battle with Abyss mages and Hilichurls, they realize the Herald hasn't visited, prompting Dainsleif to suggest they head to Stormterror's lair. There, he recalls a time before Valen took a roost in the ruins of Old Mondstadt, a memory from centuries ago. The group defeats more Abyss mages guarding the light actuators that control the lair's seal, but the Herald is still absent. Dainsleif reassures the traveler that they will eventually encounter it. As they part ways, the traveler experiences a familiar sensation near a cliffside, where they spot a dandelion that reminds them of their sibling.
What's gotten into you? You were just spacing out. Huh? You mean your sister? But how could that be? You only touched that dandelion for a second.
Dainsleif advises the traveler to be patient in their search and promises to meet again in the future. Following their brief time with Dainsleif, the traveler and Paimon head to the Liyue branch of the Adventurers Guild, where they meet Ganyu and Lan. Ganyu explains that the treasure hoarders are attempting to steal from the Abyss Order and have posted a commission with the guild since the Qixing is too busy. The traveler agrees to investigate.
Oh, thank you so much.
Good to see this in the hands of a reliable guild member. Well,
This looks like a person. Could it be the Grand Thief? Why is he in that position? Is he praying to something? That's...
Upon arriving at the ruins, they find an inverted, defiled statue of Barbados, along with the dead Grand Thief. As the ground begins to shake, the Traveler and Paimon are startled, but an Abyss Herald soon interrupts them. After a brief fight, the Herald retreats, leaving the message that the Traveler's power seems familiar and that the Traveler is the one. Outside the ruins, Dainsleif is waiting. He listens to the Traveler's account of the inverted statue and the dead thief. Though he's never heard of such a statue, he quickly deduces its connection to the Abyss Order. The group then pursues several Abyss Order factions through Juayan Karst. As they defeat more Abyss mages, Dainsleif begins discussing Khaenri'ah, which sparks fragmented memories in the Traveler about the fallen nation. Dainsleif explains that Khaenri'ah was a nation without gods, not because they had been killed or abandoned, but because it never had one in the first place. It was a highly advanced civilization that was destroyed by the gods about 5 centuries ago. He reveals that the ruin guards, now spread throughout Teyvat, were originally called field tillers, weapons of war from Khaenri'ah that wandered aimlessly after the cataclysm. The group soon uncovers a talisman, which Dainsleif begins to translate. The talisman reveals the first phase of the Abyss Order's plan involves Ojul, whom the Traveler had fought in Liyue alongside the Qixing and the Adepti. The Abyss Order intends to attach Ojul's limbs to the defiled statue and use the eye of the first field tiller to replace the orb that statues of the 7 normally hold, creating a mechanized god. The Traveler suggests they head to the Favonius Cathedral for more information. Dainsleif agrees, but cautions them not to mention the missing statue. At the cathedral, Barbara confirms that the statue is missing and tells them about a phenomenon called Tyrant's Final Fury, during which Old Mondstadt was bombarded with missiles for a year before the attack ceased. Rosaria then arrives with news that the Knight of Favonius is busy since the Abyss Order is attacking Wolvendom. The Traveler then informs Dainsleif, and they rush to Wolvendom, where Dainsleif insists they consult Boreas for more information. When they arrive, the Herald is performing a corrupting ritual on Boreas. Razor tries to protect him and the Traveler intervenes, forcing the Herald to retreat again.
No matter how many times you resist us, your efforts are all in vain.
Boreas and Razor thank the Traveler, and though the Traveler asks about the field tiller, Boreas dismisses the name. However, he recalls a strange machine entering his territory long ago, which he fought off before it fled. The Traveler and Paimon report their findings to Dainsleif, and with additional information from Boreas and Barbara, they conclude the field tiller is connected to the Tyrant's Final Fury. Paimon deduces that it must be the strange statue in Stormterror's lair. Returning to the lair, they find the field tiller. Dainsleif extracts its eye using his own methods and suggests they destroy the defiled statue to prevent the Abyss Order from continuing their plan. As they return to the ruins, Dainsleif senses the Herald's presence, and the group fights it off.
You sense correctly.
When the Herald tries to escape through a portal, Dainsleif halts it with his power, but he's interrupted by a shockwave from a sword. When the smoke clears, the Traveler is stunned to see that the one who intervened is none other than their sibling. The sibling questions the Traveler about their association with Dainsleif, and to the Traveler's surprise, Dainsleif also recognizes them. The sibling reveals that Dainsleif is the Twilight Sword, a royal guard from Khaenri'ah who failed to protect the nation and was cursed with immortality, forced to watch his people turn into monsters. Though the Traveler urges their sibling to return home with them, the sibling refuses, stating that they must fulfill the Abyss Order's goals to end their war with destiny. They express that the truth about the world will be revealed in the Traveler's travels.
We've always had enough time.
As the Herald opens another portal, the sibling leaves with it, and Dainsleif follows, but the portal closes before the Traveler can follow, leaving them feeling defeated. Paimon tries to lift the Traveler's spirits, reminding them that they have gained useful information and encouraging them to stay strong. The traveler recalls the events so far and resolves to continue their journey to Inazuma, determined to prove to their sibling that they can discover the truth. After the incident in Inazuma is resolved, the traveler and Paimon accept a commission from Yuehui, a miner, to investigate strange hilichurl activity in the chasm. They discover an inverted city that resembles the defiled statue, and Dainsleif appears after pursuing an Abyss Herald through a portal. This leads the traveler to inquire about Dainsleif's past. He reveals that Twilight Sword was his title when he was once the captain of Khaenri'ah's royal guard 500 years ago, and he once traveled with the traveler's sibling, but they did not make it to the journey's end together. He then quickly changes the subject back to the Abyss Order, which he suspects has plans for the area, and the three of them move further in to investigate. During their investigation, Dainsleif suspects that the hilichurls have come to the chasm to escape the curse of immortality placed on Khaenri'ahns during the cataclysm. The group encounters Black Serpent Knights, former subordinates of Dainsleif who have succumbed to the curse. One of the knights recognizes Dainsleif before retreating. They find the inverted city, which Dainsleif theorizes predates Khaenri'ah. They discover the knights were protecting dying hilichurls, confirming Dainsleif's suspicions. The group continues their investigation and finds a water pool that weakens the curse, a relic from an ancient civilization.
That gave Paimon a fright! So, all the doors are open now? Halfdan's back again!
Halfdan, do you have something to say to me?
However, their investigation is interrupted by Halfdan, a former Khaenri'ah royal guard, who leads them to a hilichurl camp. The traveler touches a Khaenri'ah flower and has a vision of their sibling and an Abyss Herald planning to use the water pool to amplify its curse-removing effects and restore Khaenri'ah. Dainsleif believes this will only cause more suffering, and the traveler resolves to stop their sibling's plan.
Your Highness, so the proposal finally has your blessing?
In focusing single-mindedly on confronting the heavenly principles, we neglected our original mission, the revival of the homeland. I should not have been so indecisive.
The device is almost ready. We await your command.
What are the chances of succeeding?
Theoretically speaking, approximately.
Forget it. Even a 1% chance is enough. For too long have we dwelt in the Abyss. Surely they would rather return to the natural cycle of life and death as soon as possible than continue to exist as they are, without a shred of dignity. They cannot be made to continue paying the price for those so-called sins.
The Order is most fortunate to be graced with your decision.
Ether!
The traveler, Paimon, and Dainsleif rush to stop the Abyss Order's plans. An Abyss Lector activates an amplification device, causing immense pain. Halfdan sacrifices himself to temporarily stop it, allowing the traveler to destroy it.
Am I too late? They're in agony. This is no way for them to meet their end. Find a way to stop that thing. Don't do it!
afterward, Alfden's spirit appears and speaks to Dainsleif before passing on.
Light.
Apologies, Captain Dainsleif, Twilight Sword. Back then, I failed you, and failed to protect our people.
No. For 500 years, you have faithfully done your duty. To this day, I am proud of you all.
Khaenri'ah didn't fall, did it? Since you're still here.
Correct.
Dainsleif leaves to investigate the Abyss Order's Loom of Fate, while the Traveler and Paimon return to Yuefei to report their findings.
So, no need to revive the homeland.
The Traveler and Paimon continue their journey to Sumeru. They meet Master in Port Ormuz, who delivers a letter from Kia, inviting them to Jaffer Tavern. There, Kia shares that he's scouting the alcohol industry in Sumeru, though he admits to having bad memories of the region. He tells of stowing away to Sumeru in his youth to learn about his Khaenri'ah roots, but was caught and sent back to Mondstadt. Kia reflects on his family's history.
Received news that I'd gone missing. Their leader promptly found me, and before I knew it, my adoptive father was dragging me back home by the ear. It was a short-lived adventure. Sorry I don't have a more thrilling story for you. Honestly, not much. The only reason I knew that Khaenri'ah was near Sumeru is because I happened to read that in a book when I was young. My life had less and less to do with Khaenri'ah as I grew up, and so I started caring less as well. I used to believe that I had inherited some sort of duty from my father. But then I began to wonder. Maybe my father left me in the peaceful land of Mondstadt for no other reason than simply to give me a happier life. This is obviously all speculation. Simply put, I'm afraid that I'm not particularly in the know on this topic. These days, my surname, Alberich, is probably the only link to Khaenri'ah that I have left.
One death afternoon, please, boss. Tell me, what do you know about the significance of that name, Alberich?
Dainsleif then appears out of nowhere and reveals that Kia's ancestors, the Alberichs, founded the Abyss Order. Kia expresses surprise at the revelation before recognizing Dainsleif as a pure-blooded Khaenri'ah due to his primogem-shaped eyes. Paimon wonders if Kia is working for the Abyss Order, but he does not answer that, saying the conversation is too serious, then takes his leave since he has a spice merchant to talk business with. Dainsleif then explains he's in Sumeru to investigate the Loom of Fate project related to the Traveler's sibling. He heads to Avidya Forest to search for a specific location from their past journey. There, they find a deserted field and a hut, but no clear leads. Dainsleif decides to investigate nearby ley lines while the Traveler and Paimon camp for the night. The Traveler reflects on their sibling and dreams of them that night.
Go on, chew! Off to sleep!
Hey, time to wake up. The sun has risen. What a deep sleeper. You do know that we need to... Tear stains. You dreamed of your sibling last night, didn't you? All right. Rest here a bit longer then. I'll head into the forest to investigate.
The following morning, they meet a man named Ide, who warns them not to meddle in his affairs. Ide introduces the Traveler to his son, Caribert, a hilichurl who was once human. Ide reveals that Khaenri'ah was cursed, causing pure-blooded Khaenri'ahs to become immortal and others to transform into hilichurls. He has been trying to find a cure for Caribert, but his efforts have failed. Together, they gather ingredients for a potion, Sumera roses and Calpulata lotus, with the traveler assisting and making the medicine. However, it has one more step, to get the blessing of one of the 7, which I'd finds hard to do but eventually goes with. However, the medicine has no effect, leaving I'd angry.
Myself. The gods of this world have never stood with humanity, not even for a moment.
The traveler believes that it wasn't enough, so they decide to make more. Ide has them fetch some water to grow the strange mushrooms used in the remedy. He then states that he has to leave and asks the traveler to not let the forest rangers discover the place as he makes the fertilizer. As they prepare another dose of the medicine at the statue of the 7, Ide notices Caribert leaving and they chase after him.
Wait a moment. Hey, what was that? Caribert! Oh no, he must have left while we were too busy preparing the medicine to notice. Come on, we have to catch up with him.
They track a hilichurl to a mysterious sanctuary, where they battle an abyssal entity. Ide becomes entranced by a voice claiming to be a sinner and believes the voice saved his son.
Oh, dear creature, why do you bow down? For fear of the unknown, or for a power that you covet? Oh, dear creature, why do you bow down? For I am no god, I am but a sinner.
Caribert really wakes up and speaks to Ide, making him believe that his prayer to the sinner is work. Despite warnings from the traveler, Ide continues to pray at the sanctuary. When the traveler returns to check on him, they find Caribert missing and a broken mirror. When they find Caribert, he is now imbued with abyssal power. The traveler then lost their consciousness.
Caribert!
Papa, I can't take it.
Please, Caribert! It's my fault. I'm so sorry. If only I'd known.
It's all too much. Papa!
I see. I understand now. Finally, it all makes sense.
When they wake up, Ide reveals his true identity as Clother Alberich, a founder of the Abyss Order.
A sinner? Yes. Salvation for a sinner can only come from a sinner. Caribert did not deserve his fate, but now it's wonderful. He will be able to weave his own destiny anew. Born into abject sorrow, he shall now become the Loom of Fate. We once believed that you would bring new strength and hope to Khaenri'ah. To us, you were the Abyss. A wondrous mystery far beyond our imagination and comprehension. We yearned for that future. We looked to you to take us there. But what did you bring us instead? Oh, Prince of Khaenri'ah.
What did he just call me?
Traveler! Traveler!
You're awake! Oh, thank goodness you're awake!
When they awaken, they are with Dainsleif and Paimon. Dainsleif explains that the Abyss has been manipulating the ley lines, and the group uncovers the remains of Clother and a woman from Khaenri'ah. Dainsleif needs more time to investigate before they can meet again. The traveler, still uncertain, embraces Paimon as the mysteries of the Abyss Order continue to deepen. Midnight, the Traveler and Paimon take on a commission from Catherine to locate a missing person from Vamara village, a task that has eluded numerous previous attempts. The villagers are unable to provide the missing person's name, only a vague description of his appearance. The Traveler and Paimon head to the village to investigate. Upon arriving, they speak with the villagers to gather information. After collecting the details, the Traveler begins to suspect that the missing person might only exist in the villagers' memories, and may never have existed at all. Atasa then leads them to a tree where she and the missing man once spent hours talking. She explains that he was like family to her, sharing her troubles, and that their conversations always seem to stretch through the dusk with the sun never setting. This gives the Traveler a clue that could be key to solving the mystery. Atasa mentions that the hilichurls around Vamara village have been acting unusually agitated lately. Atasa returns to the village as the Traveler and Paimon encounter Dainsleif, who is also investigating the Abyss Order's activities. The Traveler reminds Dainsleif of his promise to explain the mysterious voice from their last meeting. Dainsleif reveals that the voice belongs to the visionary Vedrfolnir, his older brother and one of the 5 sinners of Khaenri'ah. These powerful figures, Vedrfolnir, Rheindotter, Sertalagi, Rarir, and Hroptiter were once allies of Dainsleif, but their pursuit of abyssal power led them to abandon their nation during the Cataclysm, a betrayal he can never forgive. Dainsleif has been investigating the Loom of Fate, which he believes is connected to the ley lines. He decides to join the Traveler in the search for the missing person, suspecting they might be connected to the Abyss Order and able to manipulate memories. The next day, Dainsleif appears troubled, recalling new memories of a person he's never met. He believes the missing person might be someone who can implant false memories in others. He suggests they check the location of the Eye of the First Field Tiller to confirm if it is still in their possession. However, when they arrive, Dainsleif becomes disoriented again and urges them to leave quickly. The Traveler realizes that the Abyss Order may be using these fabricated memories to track the Eye's location, and they rush back to Vamara village. As they depart, the Traveler's sibling approaches Dainsleif. Dainsleif reveals that he knew this encounter was a trap, but he wanted a chance to confront the sibling alone. The sibling then challenges Dainsleif to a battle if he wants to know the truth.
You risked your safety, and that of the Eye. That's quite the gamble, Dainsleif. But I believe that I am the one walking into a trap laid by the Twilight Sword.
So you came here all on your own? What about those followers of yours?
When the Twilight Sword is prepared for battle, any army I could send would only be marching to their doom. Better that I face you alone. I know you must have a lot to say, but if it's a conversation you want, you'll have to defeat me first.
Meanwhile, as the Traveler and Paimon continue exploring the village, they notice that the previously agitated hilichurls are now calm. Back in the village, they discover that no one remembers posting the commission for the missing person. They eventually find Atasa with a strange man, whom they deduce is Caribert. Caribert realizes that the Traveler has seen him through their siblings' memories, and he plans to say goodbye to Atasa but instead leaves her a message, asking the Traveler to follow him.
Your sibling's memory. You saw the me from back then. This is Atosa's memory. I came here to say goodbye to her. But I suppose I'll just leave her a message instead. Come, let's find somewhere else to talk.
Caribert reveals to the Traveler that the Loom of Fate, a device linked to the ley lines, can create and implant memories in its primitive form. However, when fully unlocked, it can change the world by creating its own ley lines. Caribert explains that he created the events in Vamara village to gain a chance at the life he was denied. The traveler is about to leave to assist Dainsleif when Caribert explains that the Loom of Fate has been completed. He had hidden the eye in his body to lure out the sibling, intending to give the eye to the traveler after they left. However, Caribert implanted a false memory, causing Dainsleif to become distracted. Caribert wants to create his own reality and peacefully fades away as the sibling arrives.
I suffered from an indescribable level of mental anguish. To comfort me, my father told me a story, that this was a fairy tale world where I had to take on the form of a little monster. That story managed to dispel my fears, even if just for a moment. My goal was simple, to use the Loom of Fate in its near-completed form, when its ability to create memories was at its strongest.
Looks like I was too late to see Caribert one last time.
The traveler is happy to reunite with their sibling but realizes they cannot physically touch them, as they do not belong in Caribert's memory and are intangible.
Lumine?
You're the only one in this world who calls me that. There's so much I wanted to ask you. But for some reason, I'm not interested in asking those questions right now. There's just one thing I have to ask. One thing I could never understand. Why? Why can't we continue our journey together?
You told me. You wanted to find a place in the universe where that one flower was in full bloom. To have a place like that suddenly appear before me? Well, would you think of that as a coincidence?
You mean?
I miss you too, Lumine. But as this war continues to rage, and as I continue to seek that final answer, I don't even know how to face myself sometimes. Let alone my own sister.
The sibling shares their motivations for their ongoing war against the divine, including their need to unlock the loom before the heavenly principles awaken. They express loneliness and doubt, questioning if their actions are justified. As Caribert's memory begins to collapse, the sibling warns the traveler that they will not remember their conversation here.
We won't be able to remember anything that happened here. Everything in this space will be wiped from existence, including all memory of our reunion.
You're only telling me this now?
Upon waking, Paimon informs the traveler that the villagers found them unconscious and brought them back to the village, and Dainsleif also come to check on them, seemingly injured and troubled. The villagers now remember the missing person, Caribert, but realize he left with two others. The traveler and Paimon search for Atassa, who still hopes Caribert will return one day. Paimon asks the traveler what happened during their encounter with Caribert, but they can't recall the details. Instead, they find a picture in their pocket of themselves, their sibling, and Caribert, with a note urging them to get along no matter what happens. This channel is created for people who want to experience game stories, but not have the time commitment. This way, everyone can enjoy RPG game stories in under 30 minutes. We plan to cover MiHoYo Big 4 titles so you can continue to enjoy their story without going through the hassle. I will also cover notable JRPG games as well as the classic. No need to spend hours learning their stories anymore, a quarter is all PST asks. Thank you and see you soon!